What's going on, everybody? My friends out in cyber world, Danny Koker here, aka The Count, with another edition of The Count's Finer Details. I want to talk to you about my very first long bike. Now, I told you about my first Harley, which was the 81 Shovelhead. We talked about that. That's in one of the episodes of Count's Finer Details. I told you about my coffin chop, which is also in one of the episodes of Count's Finer Details. But this is my first long bike, which really kind of spawned me building the coffin bike. And if you watch that episode, you'll hear me refer to Tattoo. Her name is Tattoo. Back in, gosh, I'm gonna say 1994, I believe it was the first time I met a wonderful gentleman by the name of Sugar Bear. Sugar Bear has been building motorcycles since the 60s. He's been doing chops, long chops since then. I met him, I believe it was 94. It was at the Tropicana Hotel. They were having a big motorcycle auction and expo there. And Sugar Bear had a little booth, and he had two of his long choppers sitting there in the booth. And I remember standing there looking at those bikes, staring at them, checking them out up and down. It's kind of like, man, like everybody does to me when they look at my bike, shake their head and they go, yeah, that's pretty, but you really can't ride that. Well, Sugar Bear heard me say that, invited me into the booth, and he gave me an education on how long bikes should be done properly, where you really can ride it. And frankly, folks, stay in school, because it's all about math, and it's all about geometry, and it's all about making everything work properly. And especially, it's about this magnificent Sugar Bear Springer front end and how he builds these things. Unbelievable. If you do your geometry right, you do your math right, you get one of these Sugar Bear front ends, everything in the rockers, you get the right rocker set up, you'll end up running what's called 0 degrees worth of trail. The front end is so neutral. There's no weight, no flop, no drop. Your frame isn't rising and falling as you turn. So I got bit by the bug, man, and it was time to build myself my very first long bike right here. So Shannon and I got together, and we worked together on this bike. Was just in raw tin, no paint, no nothing, just raw metal. Took it out for its first ride, maiden voyage. I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. Went out, got it on the road. Man, I was all over the place. This bike was so squirrely, it was everywhere. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I got all this dough, all this time, all this everything wrapped up in this bike that's unrideable. What did I do wrong? I call Sugar Bear. Bear, what did I do wrong? What's it doing? You gotta know Sugar Bear, he's so cool. He's just calm, you know, everything about Barry's just calm. Well, what's it doing? Okay, I described to him what to do. He goes, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go back out on the road, start riding the bike. I want you to take your left hand off the handlebars and just put it on your leg, put it on your lap, and just ride it with one hand. I'm thinking this man's trying to kill me, man. I just got out from riding with two hands and it's all over the road. Now you want me to ride with one hand? All right, I'll listen to the man. He's been doing it forever. You must know something I don't know. Got out there and started riding it. Took my hand off the bar, left hand off, riding it with one hand. Started really understanding what he was talking about. It's like power steering. So I was giving it way too much input. The least amount of input you put on a bike like this, the better it rides. About 15 minutes into this ride, man, it was pure chopper heaven. Her name is Tattoo for very obvious reasons. Every inch of this bike is covered in artwork. Every inch is covered in artwork. I'm not kidding you. Every inch of the frame, every inch of the tin, underneath, on top, in the tunnel, the whole bit, even the open belt drive. The belt itself is all covered in artwork. This bike is covered in artwork. Very much a show bike. Yes, she gets ridden every once in a blue moon. and I do enjoy riding her. But if you watch the Coffin Chop edition of Count's Finer Details, you'll understand that that's the one that I ride and just beat the tar out of all of the time, because it's really not a show bike, it's a go bike. This bike is definitely a go bike, but it's such a show bike. I'm afraid to park it anywhere. That's the problem. I'll ride it somewhere, but I won't get away from it. I won't get away from it because I can't let anybody touch this thing or let anything happen to it because of the insane amount of artwork on it. But let me tell you about the bike. We started with a rigid frame from Chopper Guys, no rear suspension whatsoever. She's been stretched 6 inches in the down tubes. She's been stretched 3 inches in the backbone. The neck we cut completely off and raked out to 50 degrees worth of rake. And the front end is that gorgeous 30 over stock Sugar Bear Springer front end, which is truly what makes a long bike work and work properly. These are the exact frame, front end, dimensions, mathematical formula that is on my Coffin Chop as well. This bike came first. I love riding this bike so much. Everything works out so perfect on it, but because I went crazy and turned it into a show bike, that's how come I built Coffin, because I really wanted the same bike, but one that's not this insane show bike. So, she's running a fully polished 80 cubic inch Evolution motor called the Evo. I like the 80-inch Evos, man. I can't help it. They run great, they're dependable. You throw a cam in it, throw a little compression in it, make it a little happier. Trust me, it's got plenty of pep to the step. And plus, there's not a lot of bike here to move. It's a stripped down chopper, there ain't a lot there. I backed it up with a Baker 6-speed transmission. So with your gear ratio set up properly, you got plenty to get out of the hole, and then you've got that overdrive when you get out on the open road. So it's really a fantastic setup. It works out just great, and it's so dependable with those 80 inches, man. So that's what's going on there. Wanted to dress it up so it's fully polished on the show bike here, and changed out the rocker boxes to 1955 panhead covers, because I just think the panhead is a really pretty look. It's got a 4-inch Carrata open belt drive on the other side. She's got a Samson sawed-off shotgun pipes. This one's got the crazy dual side draft Mikunis on the side of it here for carburation. They just look way, way cool. The Mikunis are also extremely dependable, fantastic carburetors. So it looks insanely exotic, but they are just really dependable. They work out fantastic. I tell people that are either first-time customers that want a motorcycle, and it has nothing to do with a long bike or a short bike or a sport bike or anything like that. It's just when you decide you're going to get on two wheels, you decide you're going to get on two wheels on the street with a whole bunch of other people. I always tell them it's not if, it's when and how bad. And you just got to know that. For those of you that ride, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you that are thinking about it, you just need to know. And I'll never stop riding, but I've had mine. I've had my share. Tragically, the worst one I ever had happened to be on Tattoo. Come around a turn, left an event where she was on display, coming back here to the shop. You know, they say it always happens close to where you're at. Coming back here to the shop, cruising around a sweeping turn. The bike is so long, the front tire missed it altogether, but the back tire hit a big patch of oil. That's what the paramedics told me, that there was oil on the road. Back tire hit a big patch of oil. Back end slid out. I went to correct, slid the other way. Went to correct, hit hooked, high-sided, basically flung me off. The bike took a tumble. I took a pretty good tumble. Broke a whole bunch of stuff. Spent my time at UMC Trauma. Thank God for those wonderful people. And you know, to this day, I've got my share of rattles and shakes and creaks and cracks and stuff all over the place from things like that. But I thank the good Lord above that I'm fine, and I healed up for the most part, not too bad. But the bike, oh my Lord, I was so concerned about the bike. And so she didn't get bent front end was perfect, frame was perfect, things like that. But there were plenty of dings, plenty of dents, plenty of paint scratched up and messed up and things like that. So my brother Nick Lee had to spend a whole lot more months fixing all the paint on this baby to turn her back into tattoo as she is now. So I'm very, very careful and very cautious with this bike because it's very time consuming to repair any of the paint on this thing. So this baby is absolutely gorgeous, and you know, knowing Nick and Nick knew me, he really captured my vibe, captured my style all over this bike. It's got very much a vampire vibe to it. You'll see that in a lot of the finer details when you look at this thing. There's a Grim Reaper dude in it, there's skulls all over it, there's a castle vibe to it, there's the moonlight going, there's bats all over the crazy thing. There's even a little bit of a mural of Count Cool Rider riding on the back of this thing. For those of you that don't know who Count Cool Rider is, look him up. Anyways, not a lot here. It's very, very stripped down, bare bones, as a chopper should be. But just check out that artwork, man. Everywhere, front to back, top to bottom, every inch of this thing is covered in delicious artwork. Took Nick Lee 4.5 months of his life to do the artwork on this bike. This bike is on display right here in my showroom at Count's Kustoms. If you're ever in Vegas, man, come down to Count's Kustoms. A free tour, that's right, free tour. Walk around, check it all out. Ain't charging you to walk around in here, man. I just want to share the love. So come check her out in person, my tattoo shop. I think you're gonna dig it. If you have not yet subscribed to the Count's Kustoms YouTube channel, don't be afraid. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. Again, another free thing. Doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. So click that button, subscribe, join us here. I'm gonna keep bringing you a lot of my personal stuff. I'm gonna bring you customer stuff. I'm gonna bring you a lot of cool things, introduce you to cool people all along the way on this channel. So don't be afraid to tune in to the Count's Kustoms YouTube channel and subscribe to that thing. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the finer details on my tattoo chop, and I promise you there's gonna be more cool stuff in the future.